Wind River is directed and written by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote two of my favourite films from the previous 2 years, Hell or High Water and Sicario. Now, he didn't direct those works, just wrote them. Here, he is, of course, on directing duty as well. Many writers who make the transition to the director's chair, they don't tend to do quite as well in adapting something to the screen. They have a good grasp of what makes a story work as a writer, but when they sit in the director's chair, something's lost in the translation. Here, I am very happy to say that is not the case. Taylor Sheridan proves himself to be an absolutely outstanding director as well. A man who truly has a grasp of his own material. Despite a particularly dull-sounding title, Wind River is quite an engrossing film, I must say, and also really, really nail-biting in places. It's not an easy watch, I'll say that much. This is a film about loss, about pain. It's also about revenge, and it's also about many other things besides. For example, themes that Taylor Sheridan has touched on in previous works, such as culture displacement, most notably the Native Americans, something he seems very fond of touching upon. That is all here as well. Ultimately, though, this film is about survival in its many forms. Now, we get two victims in this film, these women. One is the daughter of the main character, played by Jeremy Renner. We never get to see her, but we hear about her. She was murdered, basically. And when Renner, his character, who plays this hunter, finds the body of this other girl, someone else that he knows, it has all the hallmarks of his daughter's death. And we start to hear these stories, build up these pictures of these two women as survivors. Even though they died, even though they were killed, we still get this picture of them as fighters, as survivors. They go through an unbelievable amount, or they did go through an unbelievable amount before they met their end. On top of that, we also have the victims' families. Jeremy Renner's character being the primary source in this film to look to. He's a survivor. He has to survive the loss of his daughter, and he has done. We see how he's managed to do that, the ways in which he's had to deal with it and continue with life and not give up on life, you know. It has excellent performances all across the board. There's a small appearance from Jon Bernthal, again very good in this role. Makes a particularly deep impact, I must say. He gets to play one of the victims in flashback, but he makes quite the impact in such a small space of time. But the person who most blew me away, I think, in this was Elizabeth Olsen. Once again, proving herself to be an absolutely outstanding talent in front of the camera. Now, I think there will be much talk about the aforementioned scene with Jon Bernthal. It definitely hits hard, and I think that's probably going to be the thing that most people take away from this film, but I don't think that should detract from what goes before it. There is an awful lot going on in this film, some really great scenes, some really good dialogue that brings out particular aspects of characters and of culture. We're based on an Indian reservation, so essentially what this is a place where white people have forced Native Americans to live out their existence without troubling us, essentially, so there's a lot of emotion tied up in that. There's a lot of history tied up in that, a lot of culture tied up in that, and we see it in many different ways. We get one scene involving this drug-addled group of people who decide to have a bit of a shootout with the police, and it's very easy to judge them, I think, at face value. But when we go into their house and we see certain bits of graffiti that they've written, it paints a picture of how they feel living in a land that has essentially been taken over, a land that was theirs, which they have been driven out of. But from that, we also get one of the other themes from the film, which is brought out in a conversation between one of these guys and Jeremy Renner's character, which is choice. Evil is choice. We all make our choices, and in any given situation you can survive and you can do the right thing. That's how you survive, by making the right choice. Or you can go down the path of hatred. You can let those kind of emotions take over you. You have a choice to do good or do evil. So a lot to chew on, really. You know, it's one of those films, you're going to go away, really think about it. You're going to get a lot of different things coming from it, you know, and they're the kind of films I like. Stuff that you can chew on for hours and draw stuff out of, and this is definitely one of them. One of the best films of the year so far, I think. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. If you've seen Wind River, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And tell me what you think of Taylor Sheridan as a director, not just a writer, but as a director. Till next time, crack in.